Thank you so much to the four of you for joining us here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we're pretty much we've been on for about 2 hours now. How are you feeling this evening? Having fun? You can make some noise if you are. Well, we're going to keep the conversations going, and as we said that today we are specifically emphasizing the role of women in manufacturing, and which is why we have and services, and which is why we have this panel here together. Sumita, I'm going to start by asking you, first of all, give us a sense of where things currently stand as far as Rangsutra is concerned, what you've been able to establish and clock in terms of your own journey. But more importantly, we heard from Priya and we heard from many others here, the journey from informal to formal and really bringing women into labor-intensive sectors like textile, apparel, craft, etc. What's been the lesson and the learning, big learning for you in having to deal with that over these years?
Thank you, Shereen. I think the biggest lesson, the biggest learning has been that given a chance, a woman can achieve anything, given the opportunity. So prior to setting up Rangsutra, I actually worked in the not-for-profit social development sector, and I had worked with many women, especially in rural Rajasthan. And one of the key things that they always raised was, we need work. Because our industries haven't gone to villages. Farming is still dependent on the rain, agriculture dependent on the rain, so it's risky. So that's how the idea of Rangsutra actually came to me, that let's build on skills that women already have, people already have. And I know that there's a market for such products. Yeah. It's just that we have to be, we decided we should be that bridge which connects rural to urban, tradition to the modern, and bring about a new way of doing business.
Speaking about a new way of doing business, and I want to connect this to what we are seeing, which is a global trend at this point in time, the focus on ESG. And that seems to be driving capital also towards businesses like yours who are trying to do similar things. But that's also pushing manufacturers globally to look at practices, to look at what is happening in terms of the suppliers that they deal with, the vendors that they deal with. How much of that do you believe is likely to bring in much more diversity in the workplace on account of the kind of mandatory requirements that these ESG sort of norms are bringing in?
I think there's great opportunity. For ourselves, we have worked with some global supply chains, and that's how we have also learned really how to build a safer, more inclusive, better spaces for women. Like you said, it has been an informal, area, and most women who are artisans, and men for that matter, work out of their homes, especially in rural India. So creating these spaces where your hobby, in a sense, becomes your profession, allowing for those kind of opportunities where women learn. So I think that is seen to be by the customer today, especially the global customer. They are interested in the story behind the product, who made my garment that I'm wearing, what is her life like. So I think there is great opportunity actually, especially in the global arena for where people are looking to source from organizations which are really ethical, have concern.
Could it be advantage India?
I definitely think so. Because we've benefited from it.
Yeah, but still in terms of global share, and we have been losing out, especially in the textile and the apparel market. Do you believe that this could, in a sense, perhaps be a differentiator for us?
It definitely can be, because the traditional skills are there, and as we learned, in Tamil Nadu, in the garment industry, there are women who in the textile industry, there are women who work. So also in other parts of the country. But I think what needs to be done is that there needs to be this enabling environment that the minister spoke about earlier, where you have spaces where women can come and work. It's a safe, secure space, and they can learn from each other. And I think it can be advanced. We need to seize it.
We need to seize the opportunity, and we need to ensure that we do move up the value chain and become a preferred destination as far as the global supply chain is concerned. Hemant, let me talk to you, because, you know, the Rangsutra experience is very different from the ITC experience, which is a large conglomerate at this point in time. You're, of course, looking after a particular vertical within ITC. How important has it been for you to drive this idea of parity within the organization?
Thank you, Shereen. And you talked about energy. This has indeed been a very, very inspiring session. For me particularly, I think driving the gender parity, two big areas. One was sales and second was manufacturing. And I think I'd like to talk a bit about manufacturing. In 2017, we just had about 5% people in ITC foods which were women. Today, in 6 years, it has come to 25%. And this journey, and we have employed in between our factories about 5,000 people in the last 6 years, and very happy to report that about 56% of them have been women. But it was not easy.
I would imagine.
Because it starts firstly with the mindset itself,
yeah.
right?
Internally or externally?
Internally. Right, because the factory operator manager is used to working with men. He knows how to work. He's not very sure whether the women will be productive, what could be the issues. But I think that was the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenge. Then comes the challenge of recruitment. Right, in Trichy, our largest factory is in Trichy, and we had to recruit about 2,000 people. 500 of them on the line, and we said that we want to be 100% women. And then you find that somebody from HR comes and says that, listen, you're not finding enough, diploma holders. But the diploma holder was our own norm. So I said, why don't we change the norm? Let's get people who are 12th pass, and we can train them. I must say that the experience for us has been that after that, every factory that we have been opening, the factory unit heads are saying we want only female managers because I think they are way more productive, they're way smarter, they learn much faster. So I think, but I think a few more challenges that we faced was the design of the factory itself, the ergonomics, right, the height.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Right, and therefore we had to, and therefore what we did was we actually worked on, we gave them we said you work on Kaizens. Right, small improvement. What is it that can make a difference so that your working can become better? Then we started facing more interesting challenges. These were girls who had just come up from school and they were of marriageable age, and now they get married, and we find the attrition has gone through the roof. Yeah. So how do you manage the attrition? And then we actually do marriage counseling. Right? We call it a social engineering experiment. We call the husbands, we call them to the factory. We told them, we kind of agreed on what should be their family goals. How do you look at agreement and disagreements? I think it's been fascinating to see how can you actually, transform and drive the gender balance in the organization. So
not quite a marriage bureau yet, but you're probably getting to that as well, right?
It's like each step is a new learning.
No, but absolutely. These are the practical challenges that get glossed over, but these are the real challenges that managers on the factory floor have to deal with, and attrition is a big challenge. The first survey that we did with FICCI highlights that attrition continues to be a big challenge, especially in that period between marriage and maternity. Rajiv, for the auto sector as well, now we just saw one of your employees here being felicitated as well, and you've got, what, about 38% of your workforce is women. My question is, as Hemant was pointing out, the rationale, to explain the rationale internally, why do you need the women? What was that experience like for you to actually communicate that message internally on why it's important to bring the women on?
Right. So thanks. So initially it was tough because you start with a 10,000 feet goal and objective, and then slowly, you let them experience themselves the benefits of it. But initially, when we set up the whole thing, luckily I was fortunate to work in many countries, and when I came back to India, it was clear that no country can make a progress if the women are not part of formal economy of the country. That was the top end goal. And when you want to give back to society, that's one area where I think we need to look at, and we are fortunate to occupy these positions where you can make some impact. So we started, and luckily we were starting from scratch. There was a brownfield. We took over a GM plant where there was 0 female employee in the plant, and we said, let's start with 30%. And 30% we just took the number at that point of time. You know, I'm happy that initially we said the lot of studies from ILO, World Bank, and some very few studies were in India by that point of time. So we give a lot of international studies that why it's important to have female employee participation in the workforce. And so there are studies, by the way, which all of us I'm sure know that even the profitability of the company increases. So we said productivity, quality, balance, all that stuff we knew, but there was no hard data. So we used some Harvard data and some ILO data to prove a point. But slowly, when we started hiring and people started seeing the impact, now we don't have to do that. We have to actually, they are themselves seeing the results. We have increased our bar. Now we are saying 50%. We say nature is 50-50. So we should be 50% females and 50% males. So that's the new target now.
Well, that's an audacious target, and we wish you the very best of luck. Have you also had to set up marriage counseling, marriage bureaus within the organization?
Not of that scale, but frankly, it's very interesting. It's again, I still keep challenging the male mindset. When you initially, all of us probably face this issue when you're hiring a young girl. The guys will say, "Iski to marriage ho jayegi, chali jayegi. Why should we hire?" Fir jab, then pregnant ho jayegi, then kya hoga? So you start with those kind of issues, and so you need to have a enabling environment, a lot of sessions, a lot of coaching sessions, a lot of interventions, for all levels of employees to understand this whole thing. Why do you need a balanced workforce? So yeah, we all go through these challenges, and you keep learning a lot, in the process.
Yes, we do keep learning, and I think part of that sensitization process and the counseling is to tell the men that they need to share the load at home as well. And I think that is crucial also. But Nina, let me ask you, to the point that was being made there by Sumita, that you need to connect the traditional to the new, and you've taken over a legacy business with a 50-year heritage and legacy. How difficult was it for you to bring in change?
First of all, I'm feeling so good being here. I think the energy is fantastic, and it's such a well-curated event. I'm really feeling good, and I'm going to go back much more inspired than when I came.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
That means a lot to us.
Yeah. So coming back to the question, actually I got married into the family. I'm not born into the family. Right. So that itself was a disadvantage. Because, as a daughter-in-law... And that's not usual, right? That's very unusual. Unusual, I guess. But for me, it was the most natural thing to do because I had the confidence of my father-in-law. And I think he would come and share everything that he did at work. He would share it with us at home. And I would just keep soaking in everything. And then somewhere after a while, after my kids were born, I was just born into a privileged family, and I was just bringing up my kids at that point of time. I just felt the kids didn't need me anymore when they were still, in school, yes, but I was personally feeling a void. So I approached my father with lots of confidence and no expertise, and I said I would like to come and help him in his business. And I don't know, it was my good moment. He said yes. And my husband always said, you entered like the East India Company. You came in from the back door and you took over. So that's how I came into the family business. And I just felt this sector required a little sensitivity, and I was just required there. That was the only way I wanted to come in and take charge.